Hi everyone, hope you're well. So welcome back to another edition of Boss Seat. And today I've got the incredible Sonal from Nourish Food for Life joining us today. She's going to talk to us about how to make sort of mum life a bit easier and keeping our kids nourished at the same time too. So Sonal, I'm going to hand over to you now. Tell us all about the amazing stuff you're doing right now.
Thank you for having me, Tina. Really grateful to be here and chatting to you a bit more about what I do. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Sonal Ambassador and I'm the founder of Nourish Food for Life. I'm a mum to an 8-year-old who's full of energy, keeps on my toes, and I'm also a qualified nutrition and wellness coach. I specialise in supporting women and families who want to eat more healthily but don't really know where to start. It's where I was about 5 years ago, so helping these women comes naturally to me because I've been there, I've done the hard graft. My story is a bit convoluted, so I'll try and keep it brief, but hopefully it'll give you a bit of a flavour of who I am and what I stand for. So I used to work in the city, been there for over 10 years. I had my son, went on mat leave, came back, and things just didn't feel right. I wasn't happy about leaving him in nursery full time. Mum guilt, which I'm sure we can all identify with.
Yeah.
Massively, and I really struggled with not being around for him more and having this rat race life where you're chucking your kids to nursery in the morning, coming back from work, picking them up, and then I literally had 1 hour in which to do make dinner, feed him dinner, which is not easy, and then do bath and bedtime. And life was very stressful. I just wasn't getting it. And the main joy of my life, my son, I felt like he wasn't getting the best of me. So went through a bit of a period of unhappiness in my life, and I felt like there has to be more. There's got to be something else I can do. But obviously not quite having the guts to leave the city at this point. I became very interested in nutrition, and I had my own issues with weight, going up and down, and eating loads of nonsense at university when I was away from my mum. I'd had this whole journey, and when my son came along, I wanted to make sure he ate well. So I started educating myself. But I also found there was so much information out there, often conflicting, often confusing. People saying, go vegan, people saying, oh, eat meat, and there's just too much. And I thought, I can't, social media is not the place to be just, relying on my information. I've got to go a bit deeper than this. And around that time, Leeds launched their course, which was Nutrition Practice, and it was going to be held over 10 Wednesdays. And I just thought, oh my God, I've got to do it. It really fired something in me. And my husband was like, yeah, good luck trying to get that when, those Wednesdays off back. And I was like, I've got to do it. So I spoke to my manager and I was very honest. And I said, kind of really fed up of work at the moment. And, to be my best, I need to be energized and blah, blah, blah. And bless him, he let me have 10 Wednesdays off work. So I went off to Leeds. I was probably the most busiest I've ever been in my life. So I added to my workload because that's what us women do. But, when something's right and it's really calling you.
Definitely. You make it work.
You make it work, exactly. It's insane. So I went off to Leeds, added to my workload, started studying late into the evenings, spending more time in the kitchen than I ever had. I'm not one of these people that used to love cooking, I'll be honest. My poor mum was trying to teach me. I was like, no, I'm feminist. I don't need to cook and all this nonsense. But let's be honest, if we eat, we all need to know how to cook. So, for me, it was amazing, learning about all these different types of ways of cooking, learning more about nutrition, and it really fired something in me. So come the end of that time, I knew that I had to take it further. I just didn't know how. I did my final assessments, did really well, got awarded the best tasting food while I was there. So it really gave me that encouragement. Within a year, I left the city and I started retraining as a nutrition coach because I realized I wanted to share what I've learned. It really helped me, it really helped my family. And it took the stress away of, what should I eat? Or, can I eat this? Can I not eat this? I felt like it was mental torture in some ways, not being able to work out what to eat and wanting to eat better. So took all of that away and then just started really enjoying being in the kitchen and really coming up with dishes that were good for me and my family, but also tasted good because I'm a foodie. I don't want to sacrifice. It can be nourishing as all it's like, but if it doesn't taste good, I'm not eating it.
Yeah.
A lot of us are like that. So it's marrying those two things together. And that's really where it all started for me. So yeah, I've been doing it for a couple of years now and the journey continues. And obviously the pandemic has kind of thrown a massive spanner in the works for a lot of us small business owners, as it did for me. I mean, initially I was very much like deer in headlights, like how do I do this? I see my clients over Zoom, so that's not too much of a problem, but I just felt like I can't ask people to buy for me in the middle of a pandemic. Like, what's going on? It just didn't feel very right to me. So I took some time out, spent time with my son, did the homeschooling thing and just, trying to get my head around that, enjoyed that time with him. And then I started coming back to and thinking of things I could do. So I run culinary nutrition for kids cooking classes, which is all about going beyond baking and introducing kids to cooking in the way I cook, which is nutritionalizing food, eating the foods they like, but putting a healthy spin on them in a fun way, and not making it complicated, because none of us wants to spend hours in the kitchen, like and I thought, well, can I take this online? And a lot of my old clients who we used to in-person classes, like, you've got to do it online, we need to do something with our kids, like the board says this, and they're asking when your classes are next. And I just thought, oh, can I do it? I don't know. Like, I felt like I wasn't great at technology. So for a while I put it off. And then I thought, no, you know what, let's go for it. Like, these people know me, there's nothing to be scared of. And came out of that show and was like, right, let's do it. As long as the kids are happy, I'm happy. So I did a few tester sessions. They worked really well, like far better than I thought they would. And children were asking great questions, they're really engaging. And the main takeaway for me was, this is a way that parents get involved too. Because if it's in person, parents at the door, I don't want to deal with the kids alone. But when you're doing it virtually, the whole family can get involved. And I thought, great, because from a price point of view, I can do one price for everyone who just comes along. Better for them, better for me. But also, the family can get involved and we can talk about different things. And it's just so much more interactive. And I found mums messaging me after being like, oh my God, I love this dish and definitely going to add this to our weekly rotation. And I just thought, this is better. So the pandemic forced me to do something I probably would never have done. Better for my clients and for me. So I was like, this is a good step.
That's really, really refreshing to hear, because and this is exactly what the boss seat is about. We want to hear sort of how, as a woman, you kind of bossed it through the pandemic, and what you said will resonate with so many people. When it started initially, like, oh my God, this big change has just come and impacted the entire world and our world, and how can we sell? How can we ask people to buy from us? And as a small business owner, I felt the same. And I think it was after, like, well, actually, people are at home. And for me, it was on the creative side. People are at home. They might not have kids. They might have been furloughed. So let me kind of push the creativeness out. And I was like, I can't believe so many people are buying courses. That, I suppose, is sort of similar for you initially. I personally felt like, oh, we've got a free home. We've got nothing to do. Let's make all this different kind of food. And 2 months in, it's like, yeah, this is nice to eat food, but it's not good for the waistline food. Yeah. And then I think a lot of people as well probably started realizing it's time to look after our health, what we put into our mouth, because it was just like, I think the reality of the pandemic set in for a lot of people. It was about being healthy so you can fight the virus if you got it. So it's really nice to hear how it just changed for you. And I've seen your dishes on social media. They just look like, drool factor over a screen. I'd love to try it one day. And I've seen
it. Have you around this pandemic's over?
Definitely. And I think something what you've said just now as well, especially as a mum, like, you've got so many things to think about. Make sure the kids are sat down to eat on time, make sure they're getting a decent amount of nutritious food, portion sizes, all sorts of things. It's one thing I really cannot stand. At midday, before like sort of lunch is even done, I'll be, what do you want for dinner? And everyone's saying, I don't know. So for me, it feels like it's 4 or 5 hours, like, what we have for dinner? What we have for dinner? Yeah. But when we food plan, it's great, and everybody knows. But there's always going to be times when we don't food plan, and it's like, oh God, what do you want for dinner? And I find those days are the naughty things that come out of the freezer and go into the oven. But what do you recommend for busy moms to give their kids this nutritious sort of quick, easy meals?
So I think whenever anyone asks me this, I always say, what do your children like eating? Because there's no point anyone trying to feed their kids things that kids aren't going to enjoy. So start where your kids are. What do they eat now? So for example, if they eat macaroni and cheese right now, okay, so you've got your white pasta and your cheese sauce. Over time, change that up. Start introducing vegetables to that. So things like kale, mushrooms, the vegetables they like, start with those. You can kind of, it's like, okay, give them that and then change it up and do different versions of it. So, 1 week, give them the version they like, so they're happy. And then say, look, we're going to try something different. What vegetables can we put into it? Include them in the conversation. Yeah. I think always helps, because then they don't feel excluded and it's not being forced upon them. We don't like being told what to eat, so I'm sure they don't either. So I think the conversation is very important. Be creative. The reason I was resistant to cooking so much was because I felt like my mom's an amazing cook. I come from a family of people who are caterers and amazing, amazing cooks. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to live up to that, so let's not even go there. But it doesn't matter. Cook the way you like. It doesn't have to be a Mexican dish, an Indian dish. Throw things together and see what happens. Don't be scared of experimenting in the kitchen. My biggest tip would be get loads of vegetables in there. Make vegetables like very appealing to your kids. Make it exciting. Do funny things with them. One of the things we made on my one of my cooking classes was we made gnocchi, but we made it with sweet potato with no flour, so you didn't have to go through the long-winded process. Really stripped back recipe, but it's so simple that your kids can happily make while you're, doing something else, and they think they've achieved something. So choose recipes, simplify recipes. Let's not go complicated, guys. Simplify recipes so you can get the kids involved in the cooking, because A, they're learning an amazing skill, which they'll thank you for later on. They might not appreciate it at the time, but also if you turn it into something that's full of joy, that's full of fun, you'll find that the kids want to help you. So, you're saving yourself some time too. So it's creating that culture of being creative in the kitchen. There's no right or wrong way. Me growing up, there was definitely a right and wrong way in which to cook. Let's try, break free of that a little bit and be like, you can make khichdi, but you don't need to do it with mung beans and white rice. You can switch it up. You can do it with red lentils and brown rice or whatever they fancy. Introduce kids to all that and get them involved in the conversation. But I think vegetables, if we can start with getting more vegetables into our kids, that's a great place to start, because we adults do this. We stick to the same vegetables. We have them again and again and again. It's easy. But actually, if we introduce new vegetables into our diet, it changes things up, opens up our culinary palate, challenges us to cook in a different way with different ingredients. So be creative and embrace the joy of it. A lot of us have got to a stage where cooking is like you said, comes to dinner time, like, bleep, what do I make, right? That's where meal planning and things like that can help, because you can scribble down things and be like, what do I eat? I do a monthly post on my Instagram which telling you what the seasonal fruit and vegetables are. Save that, have a look at it and use that. Challenge yourself to choose one or two vegetables that you've never cooked with before that may not even appeal to you, and come up with a recipe, or look on Pinterest, message me, I'll be happy to help, and do something different.
I love those posts that you put up every month, and more so because when you go to the supermarket, you automatically think that everything's in season because everything's imported from all over the world and it's all there. And when I see your post, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't, I love learning stuff from it. And I do save them because I'll go back to it. My God, what's in for June? What's in for July or December? It's really, really nice to see. And I think it also helps remind you that there is other stuff out there. So what you said is an adult cooking the same stuff. Oh my God, peppers and mushrooms, onions go in everything because I'm so used to it. It's habit. It's not risk eating. Like, oh, what's this going to taste like? And my husband actually mentioned, it's like, you use the same ingredients for Indian or Mexican or whatever it is, your pasta. Everything has got peppers, mushrooms, and onions in it. I'm like,
the spices are changed.
It's the same thing.
I think that's actually quite clever, because you can do that. You can change the spicing and change it in different ways, but then you can also do it with other ones as well. So you can challenge to do different things. And I think that's part of the joy. I mean, I had a client recently, bless her, whose husband was like, everything you cook tastes the same. And it's because he's been having the food a lot recently. Obviously he can get up with us and cook as well. But the point being that we do get into habits. We get into, cooking becomes a ritual and we just churn it out because we've lost the joy, the creativity for it and stuff. And I think sometimes we just take a step back and do a little bit of prep, take time to pour through the thousands of cookbooks that usually most of us have, or, on Pinterest and for inspiration, and actually pull something out and be like, no, I'm going to cook that. Don't follow the recipe, but at least it will have inspired you to do something different.
Definitely. And I think a lot of people are sort of, I certainly am, a guesstimate cook as well. So I'll see a recipe and I'll try it. And then there'll always be stuff that I'll be like, actually, I'll have less of that or more of that. And then you end up making a really nice dish anyway. So there's one thing that mums have probably heard a lot over the pandemic is, can I have a snack? Can I have a snack? I mean, I don't know what these kids eat at school, but I know they don't have that many snacks. What would you recommend as really nice, nutritious snacks for kids as well? And I know they're only home for a little while, but this is still applicable for weekends, half term, summer holidays.
Yeah, so the first thing I'd say is ideally try and get your kids into a habit of eating 3 square meals a day where they're full, so they're not thinking about when the next snack's coming from. It's like us. Sometimes we know we've got something delicious hidden away for when the kids are asleep, so we wait until dinner time and we don't eat our dinner properly and we think, oh, I'm going to have that because you've left space, right, for that. Kids do that too. So if you get into a routine of eating 3 square meals a day and make them filling, don't skimp on your meals, guys, because that's when we go for the unhealthy, ultra-processed snacks, which are going to do us damage. So try and eat your 3 square meals a day, make them nourishing, make them filling and wholesome. And obviously, kids are going to want snacks, right? And so are we. So go for snacks that are high in protein, high in good fats, and that are going to keep you fuller for longer. So I'm going to show you a few things that you can do. And if you can see, so I've got these here, dates, okay? You will have probably heard loads about them, but you can have dates by itself, which is one of those ones, but you can have a date by itself, but that's going to be full of sugar, okay? It's going to be full of loads of nutrients as well, but it's going to be full of lots of sugar. So how you can temper that, give them to dates so they're getting their sugar fix because some kids need it, and also pair it with nuts because the nuts are full of healthy protein, good fats that are going to keep them satiated. So they're not going to have 10, like they would want loads of little chocolates. They're not going to have 10 dates, I promise you that. They'll have probably 1 or 2, maximum 3 dates, and they're going to be like, yeah, that's enough because it's too sweet. But pair them with nuts, pair them with things that are going to bring the glycemic index lower. It's not going to mess with their blood sugar because you're then storing up problems for later on. Add nuts to them, put an almond in between, put a Brazil nut in between. Great for immunity, great for things like zinc and selenium, which are so needed right now. Put nut butter into them. Get creative, do things like that. Fruits are quite high in sugar, but again, when you pair them with protein, they're great. So cut up apple slices and dip them into a cream cheese sauce if they want to. So it's like they're having a kids version of cheese and cheese and apple and things like that when you're doing a cheese. But you can also do that with things like nut butter. And make it interesting for them, make it sexy for them. Another thing I make quite a lot of is chia jam. And if you head to my Instagram, there is a really great recipe video that a friend of mine did. He's amazing. And that's really something simple that you can whip up at the weekend, chuck in the fridge. Kids are hungry? Yeah, cool. Go and get that chia jam out. Have it on a bit of bread. You can have it on oat cakes. I'm a huge fan of oat cakes, especially the seeded ones. I've got this here. I don't know if you can see properly.
That looks delicious.
A seeded oat cake with some of my homemade chia jam, super simple to make. It's got lots of fibre in there, which we don't get enough of. Great for gut health. And then a little bit of nut butter on top to make sure that it's a complete snack. So yeah, focus on things like that. Things like nuts, always keep jars like this. Tons of different types of nuts. Got walnuts. Yeah, I do the same with Brazil nuts, almonds. Keep them to hand so the kids can snack on them. Other things that are great are hummus. It might sound boring, but bear with me. There's loads of things you can do. You can do like a snack platter for the kids with hummus, loads of different vegetables, even ones that they may not necessarily always want to eat. But with hummus, they may give it a go. Change up the hummus, add beetroot to it, add any sweet potatoes to it, so it's got that slight sweetness to it. Add spice into it. Harissa spice tastes great. There's just so many different things you can do. But I think don't overwhelm yourself with it. Just start experimenting and you'll come up with things that kind of work. But think about, if for snacks, protein, and fat, because that's going to keep them fuller for longer. So they don't need a massive snack and we'll still have space for dinner. We'll keep them seeing through to dinner. Yeah. But also it's not going to mess with the blood sugar levels, which can be a problem.
Yeah, definitely. We've got to look after them, don't we? Because they're the future, really. So exactly. I was wondering, have you got anything else on your worktop that you can delight us with?
Well, I've got things like that. My chia jam, I can show you that. I've got my chia jam here that I use. This is really, really simple. So it's like frozen fruit, fresh fruit. Then we've got a little bit of maple syrup in there if the fruit is tart. If the fruit isn't tart, I often use blueberries and I don't add any sweetener to that. Add a little bit of ginger powder, a little bit of cinnamon to make it taste good. A bit of water on the stove. It will take you a few minutes to kind of get that down into pulpy form. Take it off the heat, add the chia jams, leave it there, put it into a jar. And something like this will last us over 2 weeks. And you can add it to breakfast and things. So another thing I do is homemade granola. But you can, you don't need to do that, but you can. You can do granola, yogurt, and chia jam. Amazing breakfast, full of seeds, full of nuts, I'm going to say seeds and nuts a lot, because as a plant-based kind of nutrition coach, it's one of the things that is going to give us loads of nutrition. But seeds, we don't sometimes think about seeds. Seeds are also another great one to add to the diet. Things like popcorn, fiber, and as long as it's not in like toffee and stuff like that, you can make it at home and control how much sugar and salt you put into them. So stuff like that is always quite good. And it's got to be things that you're going to enjoy and that are quite fun.
So the jam that you just mentioned, is that something you sell, or do you sell courses to teach people how to make it? How, if someone like me, I can cook, but I'm not a cook like you, how would I be able to taste what you've just showed me?
So my granola and chia jam is available for people to buy. So if you just contact me through, my website's being redesigned right now, but eventually you will be able to get through to me on that. Send me a message and we're going to sort that out for you. So I do my granola to sell and my chia jam. A lot of what I sell, it's not the main part of my business, but I know that a lot of women, like I struggled 5 years ago, want to have these things available and they don't have the time to cook them. So in that case, I'll be your SOS and I can help you with that. But I also do, obviously, my culinary nutrition for kids cooking classes. We've got the Easter special coming up at the beginning of April. So again, these are the kind of things I'd share in my classes. This is one that we've already made on the class. So that's a great way to learn from me. But I also work with clients one-to-one. So we can do food coaching, where I think for a lot of people, they were in the same boat that I was, where it's like knowing what to eat is just so brimming overwhelming. Or you're used to eating Indian food, which tends to be heavy in carbs, doesn't always fill you with a lot of energy. So you need to just tweak that. And a lot of people come to me for that. Some people come to me because they found out they're pre-diabetic, and they don't want to tip over into needing any medication. So it is a lifestyle disease. It can be reversed. So we can look at ways in which you can balance your blood sugar now, and that involves one-on-one coaching with me. I also do a personalized cookbook, which is, I love this. It's so much more than a personalized cookbook. It's like a Bible of go-to recipes that I've designed specifically for you and your family, based on your likes, dislikes, your health needs, your nutritional needs, so you don't have to think about it, and you literally, cook things out of it. And obviously all my recipes are kind of multi-way recipes, right? So you don't just use them one way. There's ways you can repurpose that into lunch the next day or a meal later on in the week, because quite frankly, a lot of us don't have a lot of time, and any time that you spend in the kitchen, you want to use it in the best way. So that's another great one if you're literally like, I don't want to think about what to eat, just tell me what to eat, and I want to know it's nutritious and nourishing. Along with the cookbook, there's also a massive guide at the beginning which tells you general nutritional guidelines, how they work for you and your family, with really practical on-point tips that you'll be like, this is really going to help me. And it's things that I've learned the hard living way when I didn't have a lot of time and I had to work it out myself. But that's the best way to.
A lot of women now, isn't it? And there's so many people out there who don't know what to have and think that things are nutritious, or they look at the traffic light system on the sort of packaging of the foods they buy and think, oh, green, green, green. But they don't look at that, well, actually only a third or only a quarter or only a small amount of this is green, but you end up consuming more. So it's awesome to have people like yourself who have, you've taken a passion from, you've sort of gone from a life experience. It's not just something you plucked out of the air and thought, I'm going to do this. It's sort of like a life experience. You've decided, no, I want to change, and you can see the passion, and it's so amazing, and you'll be a lifeline to so many busy mums out there, and an inspiration to many children as well.
Yeah,
so all your courses are on your new website when it comes out. Can we find out more information from you on Facebook or Instagram or any other social channels?
Yeah, so the best place to find out the current information, what I'm doing, is on Instagram. If any of you want to be added to my mailing list, which I kind of do a pre-release on my mailing list usually, then send me a message and I can get you set up on that. So, and I share recipes on that, and just life, because being well is about so much more than nutrition. It's a damn good place to start, and plates over pills anytime. But also we do have to, as mums, we're so many things to so many people, and I think I also talk about a lot of wellness things that we can grow from, and things that I've learned as part of my journey, which I think might benefit my audience.
It's really good. It's really, really good to hear. So I know we sort of haven't touched on this. Eventually, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and the pandemic will be over. Will you be doing sort of face-to-face courses, do you think?
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. We had our home renovated just before the pandemic ended, so luckily we got that done. But a huge part of the way I've designed my kitchen is in a way that I can do virtual, not virtual, in-person classes with people, and it's more workshopy, and women get together and we just all vibe and we have a whinge about things, but we also learn from each other and we grow together. And also I can share the way I cook, because the way I cook, I'm quite aware that it's different. It's doing things that you wouldn't, that a mum's necessarily might not approve of, because it's not just the done way and things like that. And I think for people to really get a flavour for that, they need to taste the food. So for me, that's like a very exciting thing. I just cannot wait to get people into the kitchen and cooking together and learning.
Oh, it sounds awesome. And your kitchen looks so beautiful as well, by the way. So it'll be a really, really nice experience. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you wanted to sort of add to this? Any messages you want to go out to any other women? Or
I would just say, having been on my own journey through health and well-being, don't be intimidated by skinny minis. Don't be intimidated by yoga bunnies and things like that. Wellness is about so much more, and you don't have to fit a specific mold to be healthy or to feel well. And prioritize your own well-being, guys. Really take time out for yourself, because it's so important. If you are joyous in the kitchen, if you actually enjoying cooking, maybe not all the time, but most of the time, then you are an inspiration to the next generation. I think it's so important that our kids know how to cook and know how to eat well. They know what that means, because our parents ate in a very different way to us. So bless them, they did the best they could for us. But we have so much more information available to us. Double-edged sword, but if we can sift through that and make sense of that, then we can pass that down to the next generation, and it's so valuable.
Definitely, I think making it fun is valuable as well. Yesterday, Millie, my 4-year-old, just turned 4-year-old, she insisted on cooking with me, which is amazing. Everything it was just noodles and veg. It was a very quick dinner, but she sat just here behind me, and I told her that she's not allowed to touch any of the glass bit on the cooker because it's very hot. And she watched me put everything in, and I kind of put some Indian spice in, cinnamon and cumin and turmeric, stuff like that. And she was so intrigued, and the way that everything went from a sort of colourful dish to a tinted yellow. She's like, oh my God, wow. And then ginger, she was so intrigued by the sort of shape of it, the smell. She's like, oh, this smells really yucky, mummy. I'm like, but it's going to taste really nice. And I noticed that just because she sat there and I gave her a bit of a long wooden spoon just to stir bits, she ate quicker, because I don't know if it was because she saw or she helped make it. Now, they're both very good with eating, the girls are, thankfully. But they do get to that halfway point, like, oh, I don't want vegetables now. And even though they already know about it and stuff like that. But yeah, yesterday she ate much faster. And I think what you said before as well, like, so mac and cheese, we've never had just mac and cheese in our home. I've always added broccoli or carrots or cauliflower to it. When they've had it outside, they'll be like, well, where's the broccoli gone? Like, yes, I know I'm winning because you're asking for more veg. Some days they don't eat it. So I think it's just about, I find getting them involved really helps. It doesn't matter what the dish looks like. All right, it's not to my sort of aesthetic standards. So it doesn't matter what it looks like as long as they eat it. That's the main thing.
And you've hit the nail on the head there. I think when you involve them, there's only so much preaching we can do to our kids to make them understand, because they don't listen, let's be honest. When you keep saying you need to eat vegetables, they're good for you, I mean, they're going to probably listen to it a couple of times and then they're going to get very bored of that. But if you're involving them in it and getting them to taste different vegetables and sparking that curiosity, then you're onto a winner, because just by watching you, she's eaten more. So that just shows you that she's interested in what it tastes like. You've really change your mind on things, some things potentially. And this is what my cooking classes are all about. It's mums, we've got a lot on our plates. We don't always have time for them to do that with them. And that's where I come in. But I also think when mums do it, there's so many benefits to be reaped from that. And I'm so glad you're doing that with Millie.
Thank you. Sonal, it's been so amazing talking to you. I've learned so much in just this sort of short interview, and I know there's so much more learning from your Instagram as well, which is great. I'm going to share the links to all of your social media with this video, so if anyone needs to contact you, they can do so via that. I'm looking forward to the new website as well. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful.